Good afternoon, guys. So if you've been watching any of my videos recently, I have wanted to steer away from vlogs for a little bit. When I have more interesting things going on those weeks, I will vlog. But on weeks like this, where it's very just working from home, the weather's awful, I am just gonna be sitting down and chatting so that I can still kind of practice the content creation. But today's video, the inspiration behind it came from how awful the weather is today. On days like this, I just want to stay in my room and read all day. Little fun fact about me, I am a die-hard Kindle girly. I love my Kindle, and my sister got one first and I was very against it to start with. I do love reading a physical book a lot, however, the Kindle just helps me to fly through books like there's no tomorrow. I have never read this much in my life. I've always loved reading, but this has really helped me get back into it. So today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my recent Kindle reads and my current Kindle reads as well. Hopefully give you guys some recommendations on what you can read next, or if you have read these books, maybe just show you my opinion on them and what I thought of them. So there is 6 books to be mentioned in this video. I do have a Goodreads account if anyone's watching and is interested in following me on there. I will leave my little @ here and a link will be in the description. So without further ado, let's just get started, and I'm going to talk you guys through some of my favourite books that I've read recently. It's super late in the day. Luckily we still have daylight, really late in the day now. However, I am drinking an iced coffee. I really shouldn't be, but I was really craving one. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is my favourite read of the year so far, and it is Sunrise on the Reaping. What a great book to start this video off with, honestly. With all the casting coming out recently, I had to include it. I read it the minute it came out. I downloaded it straight away. Also, if you see something in my hand, it's my lip oil. It's like a emotional support lip oil, so if you see anything in my hand, that's what it is. So I'm going to start off with my Goodreads rating. I did rate this book 5 stars out of 5 stars. To give you some context with how I rate books on Goodreads, when I first started logging books on Goodreads, I did start by just rating them overall, like in terms of every book I've ever read, how many stars does this book get? And I think that's so unfair. I don't rate them like that anymore. If anyone does, stop it, it's mean. I now rate it per genre. If I'm reading a dystopian book, for example, comparing that to other dystopian books, other action books kind of in that genre, because in my opinion, a romance book is never going to give me the same feeling that like a Frida McFadden book does. But if a romance book is good, it's good. I shouldn't be rating it 3 stars just because it didn't leave me like jaw dropped like Frida McFadden's books do. So I am a bit more fair now. I do rate them based on the genre rather than going overall out of all the books I've ever read. If you've been watching recent vlogs, I feel like I always talk about how much I love dystopian genre books. Of course, the Hunger Games series is dystopian at its core. It's like the epitome of dystopia, like it's the dystopian book, do you know? Since I saw the announcement that there was being another prequel written, I had it in my calendar. I was ready to download on the day. I got the alert on my phone. Considering it's a Hunger Games book, it did take me a little while to get through. However, it was just quite a busy time that I was reading it in, so I didn't have as much time. Does not take away from the book at all in this circumstance. I was just obsessed. It was very dark, to say the least. A book has never made me scared before, and there was one specific moment in that book that really got to me. If you've read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a very graphic, disturbing moment, and I feel like you know what's coming with most of the characters in this book because you know the premise of the Hunger Games, and obviously you know the character too. You know Haymitch is still alive in the Hunger Games series, so you know what's coming and you have to kind of prepare yourself. However, every time something happened, I would still be just jaw drop shocked because it's a brutal book. Suzanne Collins saw the Thirst Trap edits of Snow and was like, absolutely not. She definitely made people see what a villain he is. Very dark book, and I recommended it to my sister. She's currently reading it. I'm so excited to be able to finally talk to her about it. And seeing all the casting announcements is getting me so excited for this film. I'm going to be sat the day that film comes out in the cinema. And the book I will recommend to anyone and everyone. However, I do think it's a little bit tricky because I do think you have to kind of understand the Hunger Games series in order to enjoy it and read it. But I think knowing the characters before reading is quite important, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much going into the series as that being like the first or the second book that I have read. I would recommend the Hunger Games series to anyone. I love the films, but the books are just incredible. There's so much more detail and you really get to understand the premise of the books. So the next book I'm going to be talking about is The Summer I Turned Pretty. I'm going to be talking about the second book and the third book because I read the first book a little while ago, so that wasn't a recent read. I originally watched The Summer I Turned Pretty literally the summer it came out. I wasn't obsessed, like it was a good watch. I think I watched the second season and then I read the first book. Wasn't really obsessed at this point. I was just like, yeah, like it's a good little romance. Romances have never been my favourite, however. So I recently gave it a rewatch and then I was hooked. Conrad Fisher, wow. So I read the second book just because I wanted to see how it matched up to the season, and I also started to see people commenting on loads of like edits like, you wait for season 3, what happens in the third book, you're gonna be team Conrad, and I was like, oh okay, like I wonder what people think will win team Jeremiah people over. So I read the second book to then read the third because I kind of wanted to know what I was getting into. Obviously the third season's coming out this summer and that's kind of why I rewatched the show as well. So I read the books and hooked. So I rated the first book and the second book 3 stars each, and then the last book I rated 4 stars because I flew through that book. I kid you not. I enjoyed it so much. Honestly, the first one did not win me over. The second one was good. The third one was so good for a romance. I think that like Cape Cod summer is just such a dream, and that whole setting of it being on the beach and like the love triangle, like the best friend's kids all like, I love it, I love it, I love it, okay? I cannot wait for the third season to come out. The Summer I Turned Pretty has definitely put me back into a little bit of a romance reading curve, as you'll see when I go into my current reads. I do love a romance, but it has to be good and it has to be, I don't know, I just feel like I haven't been reading the right romance books. I feel like that kind of slow burn, love triangle, friends to lovers is so sweet. But yeah, I've been really enjoying it, so trying to get back into reading a few more romance books at the moment whilst I'm on that track. I don't want to kind of lose it because I know it will go away, give it a month or a couple months and I will be back into dystopian thriller reading. So the next book that I'm going to be talking about, the one that I finished most recently, is Legend. So this is another dystopian book. I actually rated it 3 stars on Goodreads, which quite low for a dystopian. I think I went into it with higher expectations than I probably should have done. I love the Hunger Games. At the start of this year I got through the Maze Runner trilogy and they are obviously 2 huge dystopian series, so it didn't exactly live up to those books. However, I still thought it was good. I just think it was probably a little bit more slow paced than what I would have loved, and realistically not a lot happened in the book. I don't know, maybe if you've read Legend maybe you don't think that. The premise is good. I just think like Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner, like the bigger series have better premises. Even the Uglies books, I really loved the premise of them and the books were brilliant. The film, huge letdown though, by the way, because I was obsessed with those books. I read them years ago. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Uglies. I haven't looked into the series too much. I just need to check that it's not about different characters, because I think if it's about the same characters, I will read on just out of pure interest to know kind of like where they're taking the series and what they do with it. I feel like it took so long to kind of understand what was going on in terms of like what part of the government is corrupt. I wasn't like jaw drop when it came out, and I was expecting to be. I did like the characters though. I think they had a good range of characters, so I probably will read on, but I need another dystopian book to read. My sister has recommended The Grace Year, so I'm also gonna look into that because she is not the biggest dystopian fan, so if that's won her over, then it must be a good book. So the next book that I'm going to be talking about is a book that has been in my currently reading for a long time. So it is The Dream Home by T.M. Logan. So the other book of T.M. Logan that I had read was The Catch, and this book was brilliant. I rated The Catch 5 stars on Goodreads. This was one of the first adult thriller books that I ever read. So I started reading the book The Dream Home. I'm gonna check how far into this book I actually am because I don't think it's very far. That's so embarrassing. I'm 20% into this book. The problem is I started reading this book when I was in my reading slump. I might have to just go back to the start and reread the whole thing, because it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to find out what was happening, because I think The premise was good enough to be like, I had no clue what was coming. So I think I will enjoy this book because I do love a good thriller. I just picked it up at the completely wrong time because I was in such a reading slump, so that's why it took me so long to get into it. But again, I don't think it's the premise that's putting me off. I do think it was just timing, and I shouldn't have even tried to read it when I did because I was kind of forcing myself to read. It wasn't one of them like you found a book that you literally can't put down. The last time I remember that really happening was when I read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The book was just incredible. Like, I think that's one of my favorite books of all time. I just remember not being able to put my Kindle down at all when I was reading that book. It was the complete other end of the spectrum of that. I was literally forcing myself to read and I just wasn't enjoying it. So hopefully I can pick it up again and it will impress me because I did really enjoy that other book, The Catch. Again, rated it 5 stars. I think it was just bad timing with that one because it has been in my currently reading for so long now. So the final book I'm going to be talking about in this video is my current read, so the one that I'm actually keeping on top of and reading, and it is The Summer of Broken Rules. I'm in that mindset of don't fix what's not broken. I've really enjoyed The Summer I Turned Pretty, and this is a book I've seen a lot about on Goodreads and on TikTok as well. This was in my want to read for a while. Honestly, I didn't realise. I went to save it on Goodreads, but it was already in there. The premise sounds so fun, and I'm loving like the East Coast summer love read at the moment. So again, really tried to stay true to The Summer I Turned Pretty and find a book that was quite similar to that. I also think the genres that I love change from month to month, so I don't want to force myself to go back and read like a Frida McFadden and not enjoy it as much as I would in like autumn when I might be really into thrillers, because right now I am loving like the summer romance books. So we are reading that. I am loving it. I'm not too far into it. I'm like 30% into the book, but really enjoying it so far, and I have been reading it constantly. So good sign, good sign. So obviously I can't give a rating right now, but again, if you're watching and you are into books and reading, then harmless self-promo. My Goodreads. I remember in year 6, my teacher told my mum that I could talk to a brick wall and get a response. The times that I actually realise how true that is when I'm filming a YouTube video and I think I've been talking for like 5 minutes and I look at my camera and I've been talking for like 20. I'm gonna try to wrap this video up because I don't want it to be too long. I just wanted it to be like a cute little Kindle Reads video. So I honestly talk for Britain. I'm such a yapper. Even now I'm yapping about yapping. Before I finish this video, I did just want to give a couple books that I'm planning to read over the next month or so. I have 44 books in my to read, but I'm going to tell you a few of the books that I'm planning on downloading very soon. So in terms of the romance genre, there are 2 that really stand out to me that I know that I need to read, that I will enjoy. So one of them is Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book, I saw a TikToker that I love to watch. She's reading it at the moment, and the cover is just so cute, so bright, so summery. I want to say it is East Coast summer, so it's set in Maine. My American geography is failing me because I can't think of where Maine is. Another one that my sister has actually read, that's a lie, my sister marked it as want to read, she's not read it yet, but it's called Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. This again had a really cute premise. I don't think it's very summery, but really cute premise, and for a little summer read, romance, I really want to read that. So I mentioned this earlier in my video, but in terms of dystopian books, I also want to read The Glacier by Kim Leggett. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. My sister said it was brilliant, and again, she's not really a dystopian girly, so I feel like if she liked it, I will probably really enjoy it. And then another dystopian series that's on my to read list is the 100 series. The chokehold that that show had on me in COVID is like none other. I was obsessed. So yeah, I just loved the 100. I love the dystopian genre. Did you know? Did you know? I don't think you did. I love dystopian. I'm still so mad about this show in ways that I can't explain. So I also really need to read those books because apparently the ending that I want is in the books. To finish off this video really quickly, I'm just gonna mention a couple of the thriller books I've also got. So I have The Inmate by Frida McFadden saved and The Teacher by Frida McFadden saved. Definitely need to read those 2. Always can rely on a Frida McFadden book to get me back into the thriller genre. So we'll definitely be leaning on her and some of the books I have saved from her very shortly. The battery of my camera is dying and the sun The sun wasn't even out anyway. I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope you did enjoy it, something a little bit different, and I do love my Kindle and I love reading, so I wanted to share with you guys what I've been reading recently. I know there's a lot of Kindle girlies out there, so hopefully this finds the right crowd and you guys get some good recommendations. And if anyone wants to share any with me, I don't know if anyone is even watching this video, but if you want to share any, please let me know. And again, my Goodreads link will be in the description, just in case you want to keep up with what I'm reading and how I get on with the books that I'm currently reading. And this is just a great video for me to do because again, I'm a yapper. If I have even like a tiny fixation on something, I can talk about it for a good hour. So I hope you enjoyed me yapping about books. But yeah, that's really all for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.